right, we are going to take a look at the basics of the terrain tool. If you guys want a good laugh to get started in this video, I just did this video. It was about 30 minutes long when it was all said and done, and come to find out my microphone was not working. But the good news is that I will hopefully be able to make this one a little bit shorter and address a couple things I wanted to address. So hopefully get a good chuckle out of that. All right. To get started, we are going to address a couple things to make sure you are on the right path. If you haven't already, take a look at the playlist this video is in for the basics of terrain editing. It is a longer video, but it goes over how to kind of get to this point where we are at, where we have a terrain. I even go over the basics, very basic, importing a height map. I do not show you how to get one. That's a whole different topic. But if you have one ready to go, I show you how to do it in the other video, so please look for that. The two things I want, or actually there's three things I want to address. The first is your terrain entity. Make sure your terrain entity is at the coordinates 0, 0, 0. If you have anything in your map, you want to look at my video for how to move your terrain entity with those items in your map. It's too much to go over in this video. I do address a different video for that. But if you have nothing in your world, or you only have like a couple objects that you don't really care where they're at, get this back to 0, 0, 0. You will have problems later on if you do not. The other thing is your world bounds. This black box here is currently my world bounds, and that will give you problems later on. So let's go ahead and address that as well. If you don't see that, hit View, hit World Bounds, and you should see this box come up. If this black box covers your whole terrain and it is as high as you will need it, then you can skip past this part. But I'm going to show you how to fix this real fast. This is a very basic, very temporary fix. And all we're going to do is look for a retaining wall. It can probably be any prefab. This is just my go-to. You're going to put one in this corner. You're going to put one in the opposite corner. And then it can be anywhere, this next one. And we're just going to raise it up high. Put it higher than you think you'll need it for right now. You're going to save. Save regularly, please. Don't forget to save, and then a half hour later you crash and you've lost a half hour's worth of work. So we're going to exit. You're going to exit and then reopen your world. And there you go. Your world bounds should be your whole map plus more height than you think you'll need. There is another way to fix this. This is temporary. Please understand that. But this is just the easiest way, especially for someone just starting. If you delete these items or you move them and there's nothing there taking its place, this will reset itself. So leave those there while you do your world. There's a different way that you have to edit a text file, but that could cause you problems if you don't do it right. So this is just the easiest way to explain it. Before we get into the terrain sculpt and stuff, I do want to go over another thing to fix as early as you can. Close out your world, go into your workbench, go to Options, in World Editor, Undo Steps. Your undo steps is probably at 32. I am going to try mine at 100. Everything you do is a step, okay? And a step is when you let go of your left mouse button. So if you place an object down, that is a step. If you sculpt and you do a little bit with one quick click of the mouse, that's a step. If you do a long session of terrain editing with one mouse click and you let go, that is one step. So every time you let go of that mouse click, essentially is going to be a step. you want to give yourself as many steps as you can to undo. 32 will probably be enough for most situations. I have found that while working in an area, I need more than 32. I don't know what what a higher number is going to do. I don't know how much memory that will take up if that's what it even uses. So I'm going to try 100. You can try less, you can try more, but I'll get it at least above 32. So we're going to go into our world editor, open up our terrain, and I go over the basics of how to move around in the viewport. This is your viewport here in a couple other videos. I'll mention it here real fast. Hold down your right mouse button and then WASD to move around. And then scrolling your mouse wheel will make you go slower if you scroll down, faster if you go forward. Do check out those other videos. It's the basic terrain intro video and the shortcut key video. I don't know the exact name of it right now, but let's go ahead and get started with the terrain tool. So the terrain tool is this tool right here. It looks like a mountain. If you hover over it, it'll give you the shortcut for Ctrl+T. I do find that shortcut key is easiest to get in and out of this tool. So it should bring you right to manage. I have my, I don't know what you want to call these, my boxes here set up a little bit different. Yours is probably down here. I find I personally like it like this. Actually, let me just bring this back down because I don't need object properties right now. I personally like it like this because anytime I went to the terrain tool, it would often bring me to object properties. So I just clicked and dragged this and somehow I got it to snap like this. So yours will look a little bit different. In manage, I'm not going to go over this too much, but that's where you import a height map if you have one. I'm not going to go over that. Bake selection. I'm going to go over that in a different video, probably after this one. My next video I'll put up is about doing roads, and I'll include the bake selection in that. Import satellite map. That's how you get your image over the terrain. There's a different topic, a different video. I do cover that in my basic terrain intro. I've not messed with the rest of these to the best that I can remember, so I'm not going to go over those. We are going to be working mostly in the Sculpt tool. So if you click Sculpt tool and just go to Sculpt, and you come into your viewport, and let's just say you don't see your tool, right? You just kind of see this, and you're like, all right, where is it at? I don't see it. Check your radius. If your radius is a very high number, it probably looks like what mine is right now, and we don't want that. So bring this radius as small as we can, and you should see, we're going to bring strength down too. You should see this cursor now. If you click once on the terrain, just like you saw with mine, there'll be a progress bar, but you may also see a pop-up come up, and it's going to ask if you want to confirm something. Click yes, accept whatever it says, continue, and then you'll be able to sculpt. So if that popped up, accept it, and then you should be able to start sculpting. So I'm going to give you a tutorial real quick on how to do the shortcut keys for certain things. So if you pay attention on the right here, there is strength, radius, fall off, and angle. In the Sculpt tool, if you bring your cursor back in the viewport and your radius is 1, if you hold Control and move your mouse forward and backwards, you will see the radius get bigger or smaller. If you hold Shift, you will see the strength get higher and lower. If you hold Control and Shift, that'll make your fall off bigger and smaller. And I'm just holding those keys while moving the mouse forward and backwards. Angle in the round tool will not do anything. But if you go to rectangle, that will change the way the shape is facing or rotated at. Strength is essentially how quick it will apply the setting you are trying to apply. So if you see we have a low strength, it's taken a little bit of time to sculpt this. This is what you'll be doing most of the time probably. If you have a higher strength, let's just go real high, you will see it's almost instant, and look how far it went. So you will be working with, in the Sculpt tool, a lower strength most of the time. Falloff, radius, that's just going to depend on what it is you're trying to do. The radius, again, is how big the tool is. Falloff is how far out from that center it's going to affect. So notice we have about a middle fall off there. And if we do a higher fall off, it's almost completely, well, it's called a rectangle tool, but it's more square, it looks like. So you get the point with that, right? I find that when I'm making mountains, to get a ridge, a better ridge, using the fall off at a point like this gets it to be a little bit better. You know, I usually use the round tool. So it gets a little bit of a better ridge than if you have a higher fall off. So I am not an expert. I'm not, my mountains specifically, they look horrible. I'm not a huge fan of them. I'm just kind of dealing with it right now. So hopefully someone has a better technique for that they can share with you. All right. The rectangle tool, let's go over what these are. Smooth, does what it says. It kind of makes more of a smoother edge than it being linear. Sphere, you can see that shape makes it more spherical, and inverted gives you kind of like this ramp in it. So most times you'll be working in Sculpt with smooth, round, and then your different settings here. This part here is being cut in. I apologize. I forgot to go over how to cut into the terrain with the Sculpt tool. So with your Sculpt tool selected, we're going to use a kind of a smaller strength number, and this is good for a radius for this. If you hold Alt, it's Alt, you will see this turn red. That means you are going to start cutting into the terrain instead of sculpting up, you're sculpting down. All right. There has been some issues I've experienced, and I'm going to try to duplicate it, where it kind of undoes and just completely messes up what I did. But what I have found is that if you hold down Alt, I apologize, Alt, and you sculpt, let go of the mouse first, and then let go of Alt. The problem I've had, and I just tried duplicating it, it didn't work, is that if you hold Alt and you sculpt, but you let go of Alt, you are now back into the raising the terrain, and because you'll notice it's green, and sometimes I've had it where it undid it, or it keeps going forward because you're still using the tool. So again, hold down Alt, sculpt what you want to sculpt, let go of the mouse, let go of the button, and you should be good to go. I do believe that was what I missed, so continue with the rest of the video. Again, I apologize about that. So I do believe that covers everything for the Sculpt tool. These are all pretty self-explanatory. While in the Sculpt tool, I did forget, if you hit spacebar, it brings you into the Flatten tool. So let's go over the Flatten tool. Flatten tool does exactly what it says. It will flatten the radius of what you have chosen at the height you have chosen. You can go up or you can go down. And this is done with the Shift key held and moving your mouse forward and backwards. So instead of strength, you have height. So if I do that, there you go. Same thing with sphere. Well, actually, I don't know. I don't think. Yeah, these don't work in the flatten tool. So if you do fall off. Oh, I apologize. They do. I had my thing out too far there. Inv-Sphere. There we go. So I was wrong. It does work. What did I have? The fall off was too far. So the flatten tool, if you have your cursor, no matter how big your radius is, if you see this dot where the cursor's at, it's going to take the height off of what the cursor is over. So notice the cursor's here. It's going to take the height of 300. If you go over to this mound, it's going to take the height off of that. And this is using the space bar. All right. So what I often do is, let's see here. If you're trying to get the height of something, just bring your cursor over it, and then you can work off of that. And then you can go in the smooth tool, which we'll go to here in a minute. Rectangle, we already went over. I think that's pretty much everything here. The biggest thing with the flatten tool is spacebar gets you to the height of whatever it is you are looking at. Smooth tool. Let's see, is this working now? No, this isn't working for some reason. If you hold Shift and you move your cursor, your mouse forward or backwards, holding Shift and doing that affects the strength. Mine's not working right now for some reason. Hopefully yours is. I'm not sure why that's not working. So the higher the strength, the quicker it'll apply what you're smoothing out. So if that was with a high strength, and then look at a low strength, right? You have to hold it there for a few extra seconds. So you can be a little bit more tedious with what you're doing here. Or if you have the higher strength and you're just like, I just want this done, you can do that. The wider the radius, the more it's going to take the terrain heights into account and smooth out. So you can see here, it's taken a lot more into account as it's pulling in the data. And I may be wrong. I'm not sure why. I don't know why there's 1, 2, 3 rings here. I don't think there's supposed to be. I don't know, I'll have to look at that later. So, we can come in here and smooth all this out. All right. So, strength, radius, fall off, angle, all these tools down here, they're all pretty similar to what was already in the other one, so I'm not going to go over them. Noise, I don't use this a whole lot. Let's see, there we go. Shift forward to bring up the strength. So I don't know why you would use this a whole lot. I just usually use it and then smooth it. So yeah, not too much else to go over in that. So you can, and I should have mentioned this in the beginning, you can on your keyboard hit the number 1 for sculpt, 2 for flatten, 3 for smooth, and then 4 for noise. A lot of times, if I'm in the sculpt tool and I want to go to flatten, I just hit the space bar and then shift up, down with your mouse to change the height and use those. So obviously, the more you get into terrain sculpting, the more you'll be able to use these shortcut keys a lot quicker. If you're, man, I meant to mention this in the beginning like I did the other video. If your terrain is flat along the ocean, right? Like the whole thing's flat. You did not import a height map. You're going to hand sculpt everything you want by yourself. Your terrain is probably level with the ocean, and you're probably seeing the terrain have a wetness to it. I would recommend you get your terrain at a good height above that, however high you think you'll need. Because if you see here, I sculpted into the ground, and this, where is this at? This height is 300. All right, so to give you a perspective, this level ground here is 300. A simple sculpt into, oh, wrong button. A simple sculpt into the terrain gets us into the ocean material, and you probably aren't going to want that. Let's see what this looks like. All right. So this is, good for, maybe like a ocean area, like along a beach line, stuff like that. But this is 300, and that down there, I believe would be 0, because that's what it's going to start out at. So keep this in mind. Kind of on this same note, as you're sculpting, go into your world, see what is the height is that you're using. Make sure it's what you want, because you'll find that I'm just gonna get myself over there. You will find that from here, this doesn't look very tall. That like, oh, that's nothing. But as you get in closer, look how tall that actually is. It can make a difference, and make you have to go back and redo something. So just be mindful with that. I do believe that is everything that is very important to go over. Let me think for a second. I may cut out. All right, so if you have a flat terrain and you want to kind of do the easiest way to raise all this up, go into the Flatten tool and then choose a height that is appropriate for what you want. So I don't know what your intentions are in your map. I'm not sure what you're trying to do. The easiest way to do this is to get out the Flatten tool, go to the height you want to get it out. Get the world at. Make your radius a little bit bigger than needed, and start sculpting. Don't do very long stretches. If you have a better computer than I do, which you probably do. Mine's kind of a middle grade. You may be able to do longer stretches than what I can, but you're going to put some strain on the system, and it may crash out, and you may have to redo it. So take your time. Just kind of, get this terrain up off, where you're at, and do that for your whole terrain here. You're just going to have to find out what height is best for what you're going to need. So I'm going to go and undo these because I don't want that like that. And then we're going to save it. And again, that's just because if you sculpt down and your terrain is flat, you're going to instantly hit this ocean material, and you probably don't want that. All right.